Hail, hail! The Celtics are here, and what the hell do we care now? We're here on a Friday, guys, and it's the weekly catch-up show, but it's actually a bit of a pre-match show. I don't really know. Me and McBride Ace were live last night previewing the game that we're going to be playing tonight against Falkirk in the League Cup. Good luck to all of you that are going to go to the game. I hope you have a good time. It is scorching out there, so I do wish you the best. We went live on Wednesday to do the transfer window kind of update show that we normally did, and it ended up being kind of Friday show-esque. And I came into the show Wednesday not really knowing what we were going to talk about or get up to, and we ended up running away down a few alleyways and talking a few different bits and bobs. And today, like, I don't really know what we're going to tackle, really, to be honest with you. There was a there was a link that came out of, I think it was Africa yesterday. I'm just away to try and find it, but I forgot the lad's name, to see if we could even discuss that, maybe do a wee bit of transfer stuff today, since we didn't really do that Wednesday, as well as a few other bits and pieces. But we've had the Champions League squad be announced, and there is no Inamura in it. So there's a few different little threads and little bits and pieces I'm sure we could pick up with. Douglas Luiz looks like he's making his way to Nottingham Forest, which means the domino effect of Matt O'Reilly to Juventus might be about to happen. I don't know if we're really on for much of a sell-on clause with that, but we'll see where it is. And yeah, I can't find this. Oh, there we go. I found it. Or Traore, the guy's name is. 2 seconds. I'll go and pop this on screen, see what you guys think of it. Seemed to be quite a credible source when it comes to, I say, I'm not really follow African football too much, but you don't really get too much coming out of that part of the world that is super speculative. I'll just throw this up on screen. I guess we can get stuck in with this. Fist bumps on arrival to Ollie's, by the way. Thanks to everyone that's tuning in live and after we've been live. Really does mean a lot. If you haven't done so already, please do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, get into the chat. Let me know score predictions for tonight, and maybe your bold takes pre-match. Who's going to play? That kind of thing. But yeah, this is the post that came out from AfricaFoot.com. 23-year-old Malian firecracker about to land in Celtic, and I don't know. Is this the sort of player we're after? It's a very low followed account, I suppose, but I suppose African football, it's not really that well covered, is it? So I don't really know what to think about that. I don't really get random ones like this come out of nowhere that mean nothing. So I don't really know. I really don't know what to think about it. It's the only thing we've kind of got to put some teeth on. I also seen when I put in Celtic transfer into this, that David Strelick's dad is saying that Celtic are still interested, so that one won't go away, will it? So yeah, again, guys, I'm kind of at a loss with what to wrestle with today. We've did the pre-match preview for tonight already. I think there will be lots of changes. We'll still see a strong squad going out there. It's all quiet on the Western Front with transfers. I don't think we're going to get anything in before the Kyriak game, but there was rumours. Me and McBride were chatting about it yesterday. Balikwisha missed training. Maybe he was going to be inbound, but it doesn't feel like that's kind of the case. We had the same kind of false alarm with Jacob Bream the week before. And I've seen something else was around the 3 million mark we might have been looking at. I forget now, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's kind of, we're in no man's land with a lot of stuff. And as I say, failing me just randomly looking at players I think are good. Transfer-wise, I'm not too sure. Really, there's much meat on the bones to get stuck into here. I watched the guy earlier on YouTube. He looked okay, very fast indeed. And listen, like, I don't mind us like going around the far reaches of the world and unearthing these guys before they end up in Nordisland, before they end up in Salzburg or whatever, and you have to pay mega money for them. I don't mind that in theory. I don't mind. I even don't really mind the whole Inamura thing that's kind of transpiring at the moment. He's not in the Champions League squad. A lot of people suspected to be backup left back. But the thing with a squad or a team like Celtic, when we do fully mature, and we're very much not there at the moment, we're still rather immature when it comes to transfer structure, policy, dealings, etc. We should have half a dozen guys like Inamura float in and out of the club. And I've spoken about this before with that transfer window when we got Palma and Kwon and home. The club needs to stock up at some point, So Guy Traore from Africa, Inamura, I don't mind some of these moves, but it really feels like this is taking up all of the bandwidth at Celtic, and there's no room for actual first-team players, which is what we're all kind of looking for. I'm very good, Noah. Thanks very much for asking. And Michelle's team for tonight is Sinisalo, Ralston, yeah, I'm with you for most of this. I don't think CCV plays tonight. I doubt Inamura is going to play if he's not in the Champions League squad. Kalmak probably does start, but wouldn't this be a great game for him to miss out? In a good way for him, you know? And the front three's kind of hard to argue with there as well. First time live, Gary. Good to see you. Tried to catch a few times. Keep up the good work. Thank you, mate. I really appreciate it. And hope, like I say, I've not got much lined up for the live today, so I'm not really too sure what we'll have on the agenda to kind of crack through and get on with. I know Celtic fans seem to be quite buoyed at the fact that Brentford are on the verge of signing Otara from Brentford. That might wane their interest in Daisen Maeda, but I think Daisen's interest is going to be there regardless of that type of situation, to be honest with you. His sort of statistics, his output is unlike very many in Europe. And again, any team that's interested in him, I don't think signing someone like Otara or whatever really changes that. So there is interest for Dyson. Those rumours don't really seem to be going away. We've offered him a contract. Apparently, he's not really into it. And again, apparently, depending on who you listen to, there is significant interest from the Bundesliga. And Bundesliga is a great division for Asian talent to thrive. We've seen it so many times that, you know, where to even start. Son started his career at Leverkusen, Shinji Kagawa, of course. And, you know, for every one of those guys, there's 1,000 Yuyo Osakos and I'm just drawing a blank, but the Bundesliga is always awash with Japanese and Korean talent. I could see that happening. It depends who's after them. It depends what the transfer budget is. I don't think Celtic won't budge for less than 25 mil, but we've spoke about, I mentioned it on Axon, but Daisen Maeda is the one player Celtic have to put a ridiculous price tag on and try and hold someone to ransom over, because his stats, what he does is rather unique. And when you've got those kind of unicorn-esque type profiles, you really need to value them above the average, above the mean in the market to get the most value out of it. Me too, mate. Hope the weekend starts well for us too, Ali McLean. Or McEachen, sorry, beg your pardon. Why don't we seek academies like La Masia and buy gems from the Inlet Valley? The problem with that is that's well-fished waters is probably the best way of putting it. And the thing with a lot of the thing with youth players, right? We get linked to, and we do get a lot of guys out with the English youth system, right? But a lot of them, especially the younger they are, the further away they are from, depends on what age you are, Noah, but certainly for me, the further they are away generationally. And I think with the modern era of player, everyone who's kind of coming through at the moment, any football player you're likely to find in and around the 15 to 22 age range has got quite a mature outlook on the game. They know that big money contracts are available from a number of clubs and a number of leagues. And like we've seen with Lennon Miller, so many of them are wise enough already, whether that be from advisors or themselves. Not all of them, but more of them than we've ever seen before. I would say that they are conscious of making a good move for them. And I don't think stylistically the Scottish League, and from what Celtic have kind of done, I don't think we've done enough to really this will get us onto a good thread, to really dispel that opinion that we've got. 2 seconds. I'm just trying to find this post and I can show you something that could be a bit of a talking point here. There we go. Found it. So this came out. So again, I know Celtic fans, Celtic fan media, we always talk about Bruges, USG, Benfica, Ajax as being like teams that are our counterparts, that are our contemporaries, that, you know, we should be in the same realm as them business-wise, the amount of money we generate from player sales and the amount of money that we spend on player acquisition. But we know that's not quite the case. But anyway, one of those teams, PSV, have spent, again, even more money in this window, and they went out and signed Dennis Mann from Parma. Now, this guy had a really good reputation within Serie A itself, and to get players out of top 5 leagues and into smaller domestic competitions, but at the dominant team, is a trick we've not quite mastered yet. And we've seen a lot of those teams I've just named become very, very good at it. And when you read Dennis Mann's quote here, I know many players who have played here, talking about PSV, Madueke, Gakpo, Xavi Simons, the Donner, the real Ronaldo. I could go on. PSV is a club with great history. Nobody says that when they sign for us. I know lots of Celtic players down the years that started their career here and went on to big things. Yes, We know about like the odd Van Dijk, and well, who doesn't know Henrik Larsson? We can see Frimpong now in the Premier League, but Odsonne Edouard, Moussa Dembele, there's been a bunch of them over the years that haven't really achieved anything beyond Celtic. And, this is the sort of thing that, I used to do a lot of sales jobs, and I think in business and in sales, there's like a good train of thought, school of thought, where like if you focus on outcome, like I've got to do more sales, or I've got to have a better business, or I've got to do this better, and you focus on making sure you have a better outcome, you can lose sight of things that produce the outcome. You can focus on the wrong things, and when you focus on outcome, and then when you don't get the results going the way you want, it can affect your your motivation, your attitude, whatever it might be. Whereas quite often in a lot of situations in business and sales and these types of things, football, I would put it firmly into that category as well. The best thing to do is focus on other things that aren't as big and as daunting or as black and white as the outcome. But those things add up to, well, if you're doing all these things, the outcome you're looking for will be achieved, or you'll be in the realm of it anyway. And, this was something that was a big thing in my mind when it came to Celtic transfer strategy. It might have just been paper talk. You guys might remember, it depends on your age as well. But the very first time we had Fraser Foster, and he had that amazing game, and he had that amazing Champions League campaign, he was linked to Atletico Madrid to replace Thibaut Courtois. This was a while ago. And again, it depends on the papers and the rumours. It might be true, it might be nonsense. But the rumour went that if we played him against Reykjavik, it would have been Champions League cup tied, as was the system back then. And at that point, Atletico Madrid wouldn't have been interested. We ended up then selling him at Southampton. And we want to sell players to the big teams. Selling O'Reilly to Brighton was quite okay, because Brighton have got a really prominent place in the food chain right now. Selling Kun to Como was it's not quite the same. Kyogo to Rennes, of course, is not really the thing either. But if a big team comes in for our players, like, we don't want to be doing ourselves out of money. But see if, like, Daizen Maeda, if, let's just say, Man United, Man City, Arsenal, a team like that are interested in Daizen, but they're saying our limit is 25 mil, but we then get Brighton wanting to pay 35. I would be much more inclined as a business operation to put him into the bigger team, because it just then means you might have that Dennis Mann quote come back to one of your signings in the future. If he does go on there, it's just a bigger stage, a bigger pedestal for, oh wow, you can start your career here, and you can very quickly make it to the very top of the European game by, performing to a certain level, etc., etc. So I've seen that from Dennis Mann, and my first thought was, why do we never read stuff like that about Celtic? You always get it like it's the fans and it's Champions League nights. That's the thing that they all say when they sign, but no one says, oh yeah, I know lots of players that have came here, kicked ass, and had a great career off the back of it, and I want to do the same. Rogers has to give new signings some game time. Yeah, I think we'll see a bit of that tonight. I think we'll see Bernardo play. JSP will play. Callum Osmond has been making some waves with the... who's that, McLaughlin P? Dennis Mann. PSV. You did mention him, you're right. Yeah, GSP. Callum Osmond played the B team, and apparently has got quite well scouted off the back of it. So that'll be interesting to see. Maybe he could come in. I could see that being like a crash course situation where maybe he does feature tonight. We ran a poll last night. The majority of people that tuned in on Thursday reckon the two strikers that will start, and one will finish the game, will be Ida and Shin. But I do think there's space for a Kenny or an Osmond to make an appearance in this one. I think a fair amount of us expect Yamada to start. But equally, we all know the value of Ida starting this game and scoring, what that could do to just get his season up and running. So difficult one to watch out for, or funny one to watch out for. We'll see when the team sheet comes out. But again, Van Dijk, we really struggled to get, like, I forget if it was with McBride or an Axon, right? But if you remember Van Dijk, he got snubbed by Van Gaal into the Holland World Cup squad, and he was very close to making it in, and ended up taking, I think, De Vries, who was playing in Holland at the time for whoever he started his career at, PSV, Ajax, Feyenoord, whatever. And De Vries ended up going on and having a decent career. But then Van Gaal became the Man United manager. And I think that was maybe part of the reason Man United never signed him at that point. But Celtic really struggled to get a decent fee and a decent team to come and take Van Dijk off of us. We ended up going to Southampton, or the Southampton ended up coming to us to do it. And then even at that, I know Liverpool would have wanted the deal done in the summer, ended up getting done in the January, but he didn't like jump straight out of Southampton. So I get the Van Dijk thing a little bit, but I think that kind of paints into the picture as well that not that many people outside of Scotland associate Van Dijk as a Celtic player. They just see Southampton, Liverpool, so we're kind of missing in the picture of that for aspiring defenders, I guess, who might look at Van Dijk as like, oh wow, look at what he done. The boy Kenny got a new contract last week, so deserves some game time. I do think that could be the case, but that might just be a asset protection kind of thing. And again, we were chatting about that last night, that if we're looking at Kenny as an asset or an investment, we're looking at Shin as an investment, Osmond, these three players are very firmly kind of categorized. It feels right now in the squad as players for tomorrow, players that will get better, they'll grow into the squad, they'll make us better in time. And we don't have that veteran, we don't have that leader, we don't have that, I don't want Jamie Vardy. My shout's Falcao. But we don't have that steady hand, that veteran to guide these investments to become the best finishers, the best goal scorers they possibly can. Don't think we've even got that in the coaching department. It's not a shot at Brendan Kennedy or anyone else, but teaching finishing is an art form. We even floated the idea of bringing in King Henrik to be the man to do that. Chris Sutton, if you could afford his wages. But it's kind of, so it's kind of, I think Kenny is on the investment trail, and I don't think the contract is a direct thing of, oh, he's going to play now, he's going to be in the team all the time. It might be a little bit of, we've secured him, now we can loan him out with comfort and with ease, and we can control his career trajectory to come into the team a bit better. Frimpong loan deal to Celtic? When? What? I don't know. I took Liverpool 2, Frimpong assist. Oh yeah, nice. Cool. Wee bit of chat for the games tonight. Celtic kick off at 8:15. Liverpool Bournemouth is at 8 o'clock. And there's a bunch of games across Europe actually playing tonight as well. I think in France and one or two other spots as well. But yeah. Is that guy a right wing, left wing? That Traore? I've just seen him described as a firecracker. We kind of looked at him a little bit earlier. Because of him playing for Al Jazeera, the statistics are a bit flaky. Rayo facing Girona as well. I think that's kicked off now, or kicks off at 6. Yeah, but again, no one at Liverpool, no one in the big picture will think about Frimpong at Celtic. They're just going to think Frimpong Leverkusen. And I think we did a good job getting, or not that we got him in there, but Frimpong going to Leverkusen is definitely a good move for us to hold out to prospective targets. Like, oh yeah, we sell players to there kind of thing. But I don't think it's obvious, you need to sell directly and then people know, oh, he came from Celtic. I think the transfer window, the kind of view across this, and the view of fans is irrelevant. The transfer departments, the scouts probably know all this stuff, but it's other players. That's the part that's the most important. You want other players to know, oh yeah, that guy played at Celtic. That guy played at Celtic and they ended up playing Premier League or Serie A, La Liga, whatever it is you're looking at. So I think we miss a trick on that. I think we could do better in terms of managing our business and looks more of a midfield. Yeah, I thought from the stuff I read, I didn't really look into him too much, but I thought the Traore guy was a mid rather than a winger. Fair enough. Strange love the doctor. Thanks for the fist bump. And yeah, again, Brendan said the midfield is fine. If this guy is a midfielder, it's like, what are we doing, man? So Guetta Grip, it's been a while since we've seen you. Good to see you. Ian Roy as well in the house. A bunch of you are here live and loud. If you've not done so already, guys, please hit the subscribe button. With a great start to the season so far. I was half tempted tonight to maybe come on and do this post-match after the Falkirk game. But it'll be too late tonight. It's a Friday. I've had a long week. In a good way, very busy. Kids back at school. Lots of content getting made on this channel, on Quinny 3001, which is my main channel. And I've got another football channel I've been doing kind of quietly in the background. I've tried not to publicize it. I just want to see how it does by itself. When it gets to 1,000 subscribers, I'll tell you a wee bit more about it in case you want to go and catch it. My name is in it, so if you're really determined to find it, a search engine might help you get there. But yeah, tons of stuff kind of going on this week, beginning of the season for the Premier League and La Liga. And obviously, with us, we've been back at it for a few weeks. So it's all battle stations mid-August. And it's been the hottest day of the year after the hottest day of the year in Glasgow. So great time to get outside, but I've been chained to the desk. So it's been a difficult one to navigate. Let's look at Falkirk, Quinny. I'm interested in how they go about things tonight too. Okay, we can have a look. Well, I don't really know enough about Falkirk, to be quite honest with you, and I've not got a predicted 11 to look at. All I could do with these RE Falkirk is kind of look at what they've did so far in the league. Now, one thing I'll tell you is that you guys will know, you've seen the video I applied for the Celtic job. If you didn't catch it, feel free to check it out. Thoughts on Bowie? Well, if you go back to the very first episode of the summer scouting series, and if you caught content last season, for me, Bowie would have been a great striker-free prospect, in my opinion. You know, it was also scored that bags again. That's the number one of the things I love about content. I love about me making content, and one thing I always make sure to do on content is put thoughts and feelings on these things way before they actually happen. Because it's like leaving your receipt on the internet, you know, that I said that, I thought that, I knew that would happen. And it's something that I always encourage you guys do as well in the comment section of videos, mainly for score predictions on matches, but even on players, you know, like McLaughlin's mentioned Dennis Mann. I know he mentioned Dennis Mann, you know, but, you know, everyone wants to have that proof of, I did say that before everyone else did, you know. Comment section can be great for that, as well as obviously making videos. You're actually putting your words on screen. He looks really good. I thought he looked really good against us last year, Bowie. And again, I've got the receipts. You know, I think for striker free, would he be better than Yamada or something like that? Probably not. I think Yamada might have a higher ceiling than Bowie. But domestically, you know, Bowie is going to be as good for us as he was for Hibs, you know, at the very least, I would say. You know, Scotland Youth International, homegrown. You get a bit of that on the go, don't you? So let's have a look. So anyway, my last job I did was I was working at Glasgow Uni. And there's a player from Glasgow Uni that's made his way into the league system proper, and he signed for Falkirk this year. Oh, if I zoom that in, it freaks out too much. And his name is Keelan Adams. He opened his season with an assist against Dundee United and a 2-2 draw. He plays at right back. I'm really looking forward to seeing Keelan taking on the hoops. Not a player I directly coached myself, or I would even say I know. I would dare say if I walked by him in the street, I wouldn't recognize him, but he was in the first team. I took the second team at the same time. And it's just a guy like I know, I say, without knowing him or anything like that, you know. So I was happy to see players like that, you know, kick on and have a career and do well. And I think it'll be fun to see. Scott Arfield has been in the number 10 spot. He's been one of the main men. Brian Graham, of course, in his Indian summer part of his career after being the man with all the jobs at Partick Thistle last year. First team coach, youth coach, women's coach, probably director of football, and probably the ticket man as well. Maybe even did the stewarding at the car park. So he's in there. Calvin Miller, a former hoop as well, who's normally, I think, he came through our system as like a right back, maybe. Liam Henderson is not that Liam Henderson. And also they've got Bainzo, Baniac, who has been on our pay grade for a very long time. And, you know, maybe he owes us one. The boy Ross got a goal in the first game. Ethan Ross, so fair play to him, as did Tate. And Tate's been around the block once or twice as well. So a team that's got some players in it. They've got Ismaila Soro training with them this week. So I don't think we'll see him tonight, obviously. But Falkirk, with the manager and some of the players they've got there, they've definitely got a wee bit more about them than the average kind of team that gets promoted out the championship has done in recent times. The second game of the season, they took on Livingston, who have signed a lot of veterans this year. Graham Carey, Danny Wilson. They brought in Adam Montgomery on loan from us as well. Robbie Muirhead. Excuse me. And I'm sure there was somebody else. Mo Silla from Dundee last year as well. Stevie May. Shinnie. Or the other Shinnie. A formidable bottom half team opponent here, and they lost 3-1. Keelan Adams didn't have a great game. Baniac saved a penalty. Calvin Miller assist, and McIver with a goal. The veteran Graham, did he come off the bench in this game? Yeah, he did. And Aguimayang, where did he play for again? Was that maybe he's a new player? There was a few Aguimangs kicking about, isn't there? So 4-2-3-1 for the most part. I think it'll be a very similar team in terms of style and look that what we Um, who's ex-Rangers boy? Martin Boyle. I think we would have signed. I said this last night, but I think if it was Ronnie Dylat era, we would have signed Martin Boyle. He would have been our Chifchi, kind of thing. Domestically, I think he'd be all right, but it's the Champions League step. I'm always with every signing we're making because that's the sort of step up they have to be able to make if they're going to be a success at Celtic. We all know there's a really high chance that these players can be very successful domestically just by being at Celtic. We've seen how good Palma was, for example. But it's can they make the grade when it matters the most? Those crunch derby games, those tough away games in the deep dark Decembers, and those glamour fixtures at home and away. Yeah, Alan knows his stuff, and if Alan's been watching them and keeping abreast of them, yeah, Alan's a great guy to listen to. I'm a big fan of Alan. I'm a big fan of the Huddle Breakdown. I think I've been on that channel 2 or 3 times myself, hanging out with the lads. Always a pleasure, and I'm a big fan. Like when it comes to fan content with Celtic, I listen to Axom like almost every day. It's kind of like Celtic radio for me. Celtic Way, I'll listen to once in a while. It just depends on because it's at that time of day where I'm normally doing stuff, so I'm not normally always there for the time that they kick off at. And they took so Josh McCafferty was on this channel for about a year or two, and we used to do a podcast once a week in the Celtic Way. Josh graduated, Celtic Way is owned by the Herald or whatever, and he wants to go and have a career in journalism. We wish him all the best. We love Josh, of course, but I'm like a wee bit like grr, they took my pal away from me. So I've always got that with the Celtic Way. I'm trying to think what else. I always listen to Celtic Fans TV after matches because I love listening from fans that have been at the game, and that's the great thing about Celtic Fan TV is they're at all the games. So I love catching post-match pint, post-match reaction with them. Ryan 118, I love listening to as well. Just again, depends on time of day. CWO, Celtic World Order, has to get a shout. And what else, darling? I used to listen to Boise Bus quite a bit, but I try and keep myself away from drama and whatever. But I just think there's just a lot of drama going around, and I think things have changed over time. So I'm not too sure. I've not kept up to speed with it. Somebody told me the other day the channel was maybe like the Boise thing is maybe like broken into 2 channels or something, or I don't know. It's hard to keep up with it for the most part. I loved listening to Boise and Terry. I loved listening to those 2. Good crack. But Russell, like when he cut his hair, I don't know, man. I just thought he looked a lot better with the longer hair. That's what I thought. I don't know. I thought he suited that kind of mod rocker look kind of thing. And like I say, I just think there's some drama in the background. I just don't want involved in it. Trinity Timms isn't one I've caught much of personally, and Celtic AM is a funny one because I don't really watch early morning content, and so this started. I wasn't just talking about Celtic fan media for the sake of it. This started because you mentioned Alan Morrison and Huddle Breakdown, right? And the genesis of what I'm rambling about is like I will watch that. I will listen to Huddle Breakdown. The thing I love about content, forget Celtic for a second, is I seek out stuff of people that say things that doesn't sound like what everyone else says, if that makes sense. And with Huddle Breakdown, you're going to get like original point of views and takes and maybe some insight on stuff that you've never thought of before or heard of before elsewhere. So they are like, for me, like my go-to in terms of like, if I want to listen to Celtic chat or whatever, Axom's like a daily thing. So it's like the radio almost for me. And then, but everything else, it just kind of falls into, am I on my phone? Is there a video out? Are they live? That kind of thing. The Cynic, I've not caught. Oh, do you know? I've not really caught much of the Cynic, but one Celtic fan's view. What's the boy's name? Barry. I'm in his live chat all the time. He's just live all the time. He's a great listen as well, and I really like his kind of Tino. Tino's a good listen as well. But I think a lot of Tino's stuff is behind paywall now. So I think it's only like clips and snippets, I think, isn't it? And yeah, I think Boyce's a bit divisive, isn't he? I just don't want involved in drama. I am like, if there's drama going on, I just walk away. I don't want involved in any of it, But I very much enjoyed Boise Bus and Boise and Terry. I used to love listening to that. I'm not sure it's on. I was talking to somebody the other day and they said that channel's kind of broken up into pieces. And And then like Celtic Underground, I've not caught up with yet, but a lot of people tell me they're really good guys to listen to. They really know their onions. So they're kind of on my to-do list to keep up to speed with and get to know a bit better. Ryan 118, I really like Ryan 118 for me is like I don't see too many of my pals like day to day because kids, and I live somewhere different now to where I grew up and whatever. I don't live in Dumbarton these days. Endless Celts. So yeah, I've listened to Endless Celts we've had on this channel. I like Endless Celts, they're good. But Ryan is like, if I want to just listen to one of my pals talk about Celtic, that's the sort of content I like for Ryan. Celtic Fans TV, we've already mentioned, of course. One Celtic Fans View, Barry. I'm sure it's Barry. I'm sorry if that's wrong. Baz, yeah. He's just on all the time. He's a good listen, very level-headed, and I like listening to him as well. And as I say, Celtic AM is so that's why it's too. It's not even that it's similar to like my content, but I don't think I've ever listened to Celtic AM, and this is nothing against Hamish in particular, but it's just him talking about it. It's not like any. I don't think if I would listen. I used to listen to 67 Hail Hail quite a lot, and yeah, I just don't think much comes out of that is like food for thought or something I've not heard of already. It's just chat between pals, isn't it? Like a lot of podcast stuff is, but yeah, like it's more like Huddle Breakdown or something I would seek out. And guys like One Celtic Fans View, Axom, it's like radio for me when I'm out and about. And yeah, Baz doesn't take himself too seriously either. Baz is a good laugh in that way. And sadly, I listen to myself too much just because of editing and double checking stuff and whatever. But you guys obviously love the content, and I'm very thankful for all the support that we get here. And I used to listen to a lot more 20-minute Tims, but I don't know what it is over the last year or so. I don't know. I don't even know if I could. I don't even want to try and put words on it because I don't want to come across the wrong way or anything like that. But just to be funnier is probably the easiest way I would put it. I don't know, and I've not really kept up to speed with it. I'd say since this channel has been more of a thing for me week in, week out. So I didn't really listen to them much last year. I used to laugh my head off listening to them. I thought they had great patter, and again, we're quite well balanced across the three of them. Have I met all of them? I've met at least two. I've met Melly, and I've met what's the main guy called with the beard again? Is it James? No, I've just went a blank. I've met Melly at a press conference. The tall lad, I've maybe been in the same room as without really like meeting or whatever. And the main guy, I forgot his blooming name now. I've bumped into him. I've met him in person once or twice. We did the fan debate for the overlap. I met them all there. Melly wasn't there, but the other two lads were. That was the first time I met Alan Morrison and Celtic Fan TV. I don't think Ryan was there. And all the Rangers fan media were there. I didn't know any of them from Adam. I listened to almost all. And again, like if I had, I've got nothing against any of them, really. It's just where I find time to listen to content. And as I said, this kind of, the genesis of this came from you guys praising Alan and Huddle Breakdown. And like for me, that's like, if you said, Quinny, you can only listen to one more channel or one Celtic channel, it would be a tough fight between Axom and Huddle Breakdown. So Axom's got a good variety of people. It's on every day. But Huddle Breakdown, as I say, I know when I listen to that, I'm not going to hear random cliche sound bites of Adam Ida's a big donkey and, that kind of stuff, and yeah, you guys are mentioning Hamish. I've got no problem with Hamish. It's not really content that I seek out. It's just like pals chatting about thoughts and feelings. I don't mind it. I'll listen to it, but it's just not really in my wheelhouse. Like for me, especially like football takes Celtic out of it. I spend a lot of time consuming content, and especially when it comes to football stuff, like I'm looking for in the know accounts. I'm looking for different journalists or sources or fan accounts that always have like an ear to the ground, a finger on the pulse. With Celtic, it's hard to work that out because some people feel like they maybe have that and then they get a lot of stuff wrong, or some people are kind of discredited, but when you actually pay attention, they actually got a lot of stuff right. Celtic's a bit cloudy in that regard, outside of the journalists that we all know are quite formidable for having good form on being right on stuff. And I guess that's just kind of programmed into me. Like when I'm looking for, I don't know, Premier League content, Bundesliga stuff, La Liga, I want to hear from people that won't just say what anyone else is saying, and they might have something to reveal that other people don't have, if that makes sense. And yeah, talking about clickbait, Sam North, he put a video out the other day. I don't know if you've seen it. He had Ryan 118 on. I thought, oh, brilliant, Ryan's on that. I quite like Sam as well for the most. I've never met him, but his channel, I really like what he's did with it. And I thought, oh, that'll be a good listen. I seen the headline before I clicked on it, and it was Brendan Rodgers to Barcelona or something like that. So I listened to it, and I just thought, wow, that is the worst type of clickbait imaginable. If you've not caught it, Celtic World, yeah, CWO, yeah, I love those guys too. They've been on this. I've been on their channel. They've been on this channel. But yeah, big fan of Steve-O and the lads there as well. Do a great shift. Footy Adventures, yeah, I think I just mentioned him. That's Sam North, isn't it? Footy Adventures. I like his channel a lot. I think he's got a great channel in terms of what he's done for football and whatever. But that clickbaity title there, I was like, that's just bad crack, mate. Like, I thought you were better than that. You know, I'm not trying to be a dick saying that, but just genuinely. You know, like it was a nice football kind of focused channel rather than Brendan Rodgers to Barcelona. I mean, like, come on, man. He is a break. So yeah, we end up talking about fan media for a wee bit. And you guys know me. I wear my heart on my sleeve. You probably won't get many other fan media channels coming out and openly. At Celtic Exchange, I'm a big fan of Tino. Tino's a great guy. I've met him a bunch of times. Won't have a bad word said about him. I think a lot of his content is paywall now. So I don't see it on my timeline on YouTube as much anymore, beyond like little clips and stuff like that. I've caught him live a few times post-match breakdown. I think Tino's done a few lives. But again, his live chat is behind a paywall. It's like a member-only live chat. So I kind of drop a fist bump there, you know. Enda was on this year. I think we had Enda on as a guest one week. He also started that huddle breakdown. And I don't know where he is now. He's away crossing the world. I think he's a journalist, isn't he, as well? Does that Irish guy still do his pod with Statman Allen? I don't know, Irish guy or Statman Allen. But yeah, and I think it's like some of you are saying, this guy, I like him, I don't like that channel, and that's all fair enough. I think it's just kind of like, also I work in content, you know, so it's just kind of understanding that, for me anyway, it's like everyone is kind of blazing their own little trail. Everyone kind of fulfills their own kind of need within the Celtic fan community. Like I mentioned with Ryan, it's like mates talking, but Hamish, it's like mates talking. And if that's the sort of thing you want to listen to, that's perfect. But if you want to listen to like stats and numbers and all that, you might go to Huddle Breakdown. Hopefully you come here for some insight kind of stuff like that as well, etc., etc. So it's just understanding everyone does their own thing, or they live their own thing. Like if I started trying to do content like some of the, like, I don't know, our content here on Celtside here is quite fluid. Like we kind of do a little bit of everything, I think, don't we? But if I tried to do something that wasn't natural, I think you would see it, you would know it, it wouldn't do good. Like it wouldn't go out well. It wouldn't be a nice video to watch. You guys probably wouldn't enjoy it. He's off traveling, Enda. Yeah, I thought it was something like globetrotting. Irish Mick. Yeah, some of you guys are mentioning Irish Mick as well. Somebody was telling me, I don't know if you're, somebody asked us the other day, what was the guy's name? Somebody said in a chat, it might have been last night, content about content. Yeah, sorry, Rubber Duck. I did say coming on today, I had no idea what we're going to talk about. But yeah, sorry, I'll try and catch myself here because we're just talking gibberish. But the unrestricted view, I've seen that, but I've not watched it. I don't think too much. But again, any accounts that are worth watching and following, you guys know better than I do. Certainly, feel free to let me know, and I'm always happy to get myself up to speed and add new kind of podcasts into the play deck, as it were. Diamond Dog Bowie played a better last night. Diamond Dog, love that. Must be hard being a Celtic content creator. Very difficult. Yeah, I would say that's probably quite right, Gary. But I think like the content I do here is the same content I've been doing on my other channels for about 5 years or something at this point. So I don't find doing what I do that hard. But in the case of like Sam North, for example, his content is all around going to matches, grassroots stuff, showing you interesting stories. Did you know about this ancient stadium and, you know, that kind of stuff? So guys like him are under a lot of pressure to produce content because like he can't just make a football match happen. Sure, he can go to football matches and he's got content on the tip of his fingers there, but he's not really a guy who does transfer stuff, or, you know, obviously he's had Ryan. He probably does some other fan stuff from like preseason previews or whatever. But I think like Celtic Way, Axom, guys that are like, I have to be on daily. Celtic AM, I think it's quite daily as well. They've got a lot of pressure on coming up with ideas and topics. Whereas this channel, like, I think we've got a good catalogue of content, but it's not daily. You know, we could probably squeeze it to be daily, but I think that's only at like peak times when there's lots of matches on. Yeah, it kind of is, isn't he, Sam North? He's got a good. But you know, the thing is, let's see when he did that podcast. I think he's maybe still on at the warm up with Gordon Duncan. When I seen that podcast was getting launched, I'm like, man, talk about what's the word? Like, it's just fake. You know what I mean? It's like some media companies went, we're going to hire Sam North because he's a guy with a big YouTube following. We'll hire Gordon Duncan off the radio, and then we've got Naismith, Adam, whoever, just on rotation for players. There's a word like non-organic, essentially, not quite commercial, but yeah, that podcasts like that. I quite, you know, you love hearing the player insights from those type of things, but when stuff like that, you can tell it's manufactured. That's the word I'm searching for. It loses something. I think it loses a bit of something. Another one from Paul is good. Paul, Celtic Fan TV. I mentioned him already. Like, I love listening to them. That's like my go-to post-match thing to listen to. If I've not been to the match, Gordon Duncan is a fantastic host. I agree. I think he's got a great kind of relationship with everyone that he works with in terms of the pro players and whatever. He's quite comfortable. You can get some banter going across it or whatever. But the guy is like, he's got so many jobs. Anyone ex Rangers gets a gig on BBC. I can see that. Right, guys, I think we are just talking nonsense about nonsense now, aren't we? Right, guys, well, let's finish up. The last 5 minutes. Score predictions for tonight. I think I did my predictions last night. I'm going with 5-0 or something. I think we'll be strong from the start. A lot of guys that want to impress and get into the team for Livingston, because Brendan's intimated that normally we get the platitudes of, oh, it's one game at a time. But Brendan's been quite open that, yes, it's going to be a strong team, but there's one eye on Livingston because we're going to need players to play the Livingston game that we don't want to just airdrop in, that haven't had the minutes, haven't got up to speed. I see Bernardo playing. I see JSP playing. I see Yamada playing. Inamura, I don't think so now that he's not been included in the Champions League squad. Engels probably gets a start. I think we see what Rodgers' words have led us to believe. We see that kind of thing coming to fruition. But I think that means the bench is going to be a lot stronger. And I think we're at home. It's been a nice day as well. Obviously, it won't be bright at 8 o'clock at night or whatever, but it'll still be light out. Be a nice temperature, which lends itself to good Celtic football, you know, and I could see us really having our way with them for the most part. Why are Celtic podcasters, not least Axom, so pessimistic? These are the glory days. I think when it comes to the pessimism, if you can call it that, I know the Axom guys all pretty well. I'm in their group chat and whatever. They're not negative people. They're not some of them are borderline pessimistic, but that's just because it kind of answers your question. It's number one, they've got higher standards for the club than what the club is showing. And number two, it's kind of like, I was mentioning this with McBride last night, but when the transfer window opened the end of May, everyone said, forget about it until the last week of August. And we're kind of there, aren't we? And it's just that kind of apathy, I think, that they have for the board, the higher ups. I think Axom have had some more interactions with the powers that be, so they maybe have a bit more of an insight. Paul John, certainly, in terms of who's in charge, what they think, how they feel, what they say, and what their plans are. So I don't think they are pessimistic as such. I just think they've got high standards, high hopes, and they just know they're going to be let down. So it feels like that kind of realization. Most Celtic fans want better. Yeah, I think that's kind of where it comes from, doesn't it? Someone should start a fan comments channel. This is good stuff. Yeah, well, this show is to be like, so this show is kind of like, I don't want to say inspired or whatever, but again, I do lots of live streams. I'm a part of lots of content, and it's like one Celtic fan's view. His channel is what you've just asked for. That is just live chat action. It's him and his thoughts in the live chat, and that's very popular content. It's very easy to make. And, if you can commit to it like he does with his schedule, you can have a lot of fun with it. So, Chris, if you have not seen One Celtic Fan's View, you should check him out and hit subscribe. That's exactly the sort of content he makes. Trinity Tim's, all you guys have said that. I should add them onto my list, I think, and Celtic Underground. So I'll check them out. I think JSP Osmond could be a sneaky one, George, because he did play that B team match and by all accounts really stood out, really shone. And if Brendan is going to have him in his third striker, which you would imagine was the promise he was given on signing, this would be a great match to try him out. I don't think Rodgers is shunning Inamura to prove a point. I think it's a case of it. I said the same thing with Nygren, and it's the same thing that we've seen with Maeda last year, because Maeda was a winger, played up front for Japan, but he was a winger at Celtic for 3 years or whatever. And honestly, the amount of people, I'm going to say 99% of people that you hear saying, we always knew Dyson's best position. And I'm actually even going to go one step further and say 100% of people that say we knew Dyson Maeda's best position was striker is forgetting probably what they said themselves. I watch a lot of content, like I say, and everyone used to say the Japan manager's so stupid. He keeps picking Dyson Maeda for Japan and playing him up front. He should play Dyson in the wing and pick Kyogo. Everyone used to say that at every Japan national team announcement. Why is he playing Maeda up front? Why doesn't he pick Kyogo? Maeda's a winger. Maeda's a wide forward. Everyone used to say it. And Brendan resisted that as well because he wanted to push the board into signing a striker. And he was like, no, I remember asking him a question. We'd seen Kyogo playing out wide. I'll kind of tie this up nicely. But we'd seen Kyogo playing out wide. Dyson was out. Kyogo played out wide, and Kyogo looked really good. This was not long before he left. He got a few good touches. He had some crosses. He took some people on the dribble. We've seen some stuff from Kyogo on the wing that we hadn't seen from him at centre forward. And I said to Brendan, is there could you play Kyogo out wide and Dyson through the middle? Could you do that now? And he was adamant, no. I think Brendan, not that he's trying to shun people to send a message, but I think he really has to put it back on the board that I don't have a striker. I need a striker. I don't have a backup left back. We need to actually do that business. And I don't think even with Negren, because we've seen Negren could probably be the best right winger in the club right now, but Brendan is insisting on playing him in centre mid. And we can see the knock-on effect that has to our depth in the wings. It's been fine domestically so far. We'll see what happens with Champions League. But I think if Rodgers believes if he plays Negren right wing, the club will go, Kuhn's replaced, Whereas Brendan's saying, no. This boy you gave me is a midfielder and he's playing midfield, and look, we're still very short on wingers. So I think the Inamura thing is more a case of he is like to the club. No, we still need backup for Tierney. This guy's not the backup this year, maybe in the future, but not this year. I think it's more of the case of that. And I think when the window closes, let's see how things roll out. But Negren might start playing right mid a bit more. He might play right wing a bit more often, either later in the match, like we've already seen in the second match of the season, or even from the start, like we'd seen in pre-season. He did start one game out there as well. So I do think Brendan is very mindful of the board seeing the team on the pitch, and that's maybe their main exposure to where the squad is, strength and depth-wise. And I think he wants it to look as bare as possible. And we kind of should be on board with that because we all agree that it's pretty bare. It needs a lot of reinforcement. So I wouldn't be giving Brendan a hard time for this. He maybe just needs to play the game a little bit. But I don't take the Inamura thing as a shunning. I take it more as, sadly, probably Brendan playing internal politics with all of our best interests at heart, I would suggest as well. Dyson did play up front before he came to Celtic, but he wouldn't always play centre forward. He would play left wide forward, and that's why Ange played him. Because again, Ange was his manager at Yokohama, and that's why Ange played him in that position for us, because the amount of goals Dyson would get, back post tap-ins or long balls, breaking the offside trap coming in from out wide, was like his route to go. And they had other Brazilian strikers that they'd play. There was nice interplay with them. Always played up front for Japan. But sincerely, like, and this isn't a dig against anyone, but I hear every Celtic fan media channel say, we always knew Dyson's best position was striker. And I guarantee you, every one of those channels, you go and find a game where Dyson has played up front under Ange. And I'm thinking like Motherwell away or Motherwell at home. We had maybe like who was the boy? Moffat. We maybe had like Moffat in the team and stuff like that. And I guarantee you, listen to any content around those matches, and they'll all be saying, he did all right, but he's no a striker, is he? Or find any content that came out around a Japan national team announcement, and they'll all say, the Japanese manager's so stupid. Kyogo's the striker at Celtic, not Dyson. Why is he picking Dyson and playing him up front and not picking Kyogo? But now he scores a few goals for us up front. And then everyone's like, we always knew Dyson was a striker. We've always said that. I've always said it. You've always said it. We've all always known it. And it's just a big load of tosh, really. Yeah, McLaughlin, you're right. Like, if you did suggest it, like, nobody subscribed to that. And I'm saying that nobody. And anyone that wants to challenge me on it, there'll be receipts on the internet if you've made content that long, and they will be there. I will find them if you want to have an argument about it. Not that I'm saying anyone does, but I just know. You know. Anyway, feels like I've went in a bit of a long way to go forwards, but I think Brendan, it's not really a shunning, it's more of a playing the game, as it were. But yeah, guys, we've been on for a wee bit today. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in live and loud. I really do appreciate it. If you've not done so already, please do hit the subscribe button. I will do a post-match breakdown of the Falkirk game, but I'll probably record that tomorrow, and it will go out over the weekend. It won't be as bells and whistles, not that, bells and whistles, whatever. No, it won't be a full match breakdown unless some really interesting stuff happens, but I'm just planning on doing like an 8-minute recap of what we've seen, what we learned, and food for thought we take into midweek potentially. We'll be back next week with a full schedule. We'll have pre-match Champions League, we'll have post-match, we'll have the Wednesday night transfer show, we'll have Thursday night live with me and McBride, and we'll have the Friday show. So next week it might be daily content on the channel. If you do enjoy the content here, hit the like button. The first magic number we need to get to, guys, is 67. We're at 45. Once we get to 67 likes, we want to get to 88 and then cruise past 100. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video today, I don't know why, but if you did, hit the like button, hit subscribe for more, turn the notification bell on so you don't miss us going live. I try and keep the schedule quite consistent, that the content on this channel comes out between 5 and 6, typically. I don't do things early morning. I want it to be, you guys know when the videos come out, when the streams go live, and within reason, everything's in between that 5 to 6 mark. So yeah, plenty of stuff going on next week. Have a great weekend if you're going to the game tonight. Travel safe. I hope you have a great time. Hail, hail, and moan the hoops.